the aura that brings in His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Dr. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
By 9 a.m., President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni arrived at Kolo Independence Grounds as chief guest for the 59th Independence Anniversary and later inspected the Guard of Honor mounted by the armed forces.
Oh, Mama, the First Lady, you are also welcome, Bambi. We love you.
As the norm, a march past in slow and quick time ensued. President Museveni said despite the COVID-19 pandemic, the economy has not suffered a big setback.
It was able to achieve a modest rate of growth. By end of June 2022, our GDP would be standing at US dollars about 41 billion by foreign exchange method, and at US dollars 117 billion by the PPP method, purchasing power parity method.
This, according to President Museveni, is without the contributions of the first oil expected in 2025.
First oil to be pumped out of the ground will be achieved by 2025 because all the agreements have been signed. All these achievements are in spite of the corruption of some public officials, including some political actors. I congratulate the whistleblowers who patriotically expose these criminals, parasites, and traitors to their own people.
He says this is in addition to the work done by the Operation Wealth Creation and other wealth creation programs.
I congratulate the Operation Wealth Creation for, in the last 8 years, helping us to reduce abakorera ekida kyonka subsistence actors from 68% of the households to now 39%, according to the latest UBC survey. Let us use the parish model, parish development model, or the Myoga program to convert all these into operators in the money economy with Echibaro.
Referring to United States of America as a young nation, Museveni called upon Ugandans to respect and support wealth creators and maintain peace.
To consolidate peace durably, expand and strengthen the ranks of the wealth creators, we must ensure that the wealth creators are more in number. Right from the beginning, the NRM emphasized the point of protecting life and property. It was actually point number 2 in the 10 points program. And it is principle number 3 in the 4 principles of the NRM, which is socio-economic transformation. You cannot transform society without wealth creation. The USA, which is a new country, only born long after our own fratricidal actors of 1520 AD in the persons of Olimi, Ruitamahanga, Nyabugaro, and Nakibinge, is now a superpower. This new country, which was created long after our little kings here, is now a superpower. Why? Partly for the very reasons I have been telling you in this speech. Respecting the wealth creators, creating a big market for them through integrating the former British colonies into the nucleus of the USA in 1776, ensuring peace, etc.
This year's theme, celebrating our 59th independence as we secure our future through national mindset change, is drawn from the 2021 to 2026 NRM manifesto, Securing Our Future, that delivered President Museveni his 6th elective term of office.
The NRM always believes in reconciliation. However, reconciliation must be around healthy principles that can create growth and transformation, not stagnation and sterility. Let us not repeat old mistakes. Africa has suffered enough. The future is bright if we act right.
Benatiga, UBC News, Kololo.
A fuel tanker carrying diesel has caught fire in Butende village, Bugweri, along Busia-Kampala highway, causing a long traffic jam on the trunk road. The good news is, however, that all escaped unhurt. Details follow.
A truck loaded with fuel overturned and caught fire, sparking an instant traffic jam in Uganda along Busia-Kampala highway.
Fortunately, nobody was injured. The driver was able to jump out of the vehicle before it caught fire, and our fire brigade has controlled the situation and put out the fire. We were able to ensure that no civilian was injured, though a number of them came and assisted us in one way or the other.
The ill-fated truck was cruising from Busia to Kampala before colliding with a Fuso truck that overturned and eventually catching fire.
Kenya ngerekwira Kampala owafuso ebaire ya summit ya mubisa wa mubisiza ebe speed ya kuseba ile ntono tulera keri kumuka owatulera yasibamu emberi ebaire yevwayo emberi ebaire yevwayo bera no watulera yasibamu abaira jafunto owafuso ya summit tulera ya summit ekyana kyava ku luguudo kyaira mumbali akande kutuwanisa kya oba kikumitidi.
Despite the high response from locals to save the truck driver and other 2 passengers in the truck, locals blame the police fire brigade team for not reaching in time. A police water fire truck that was dispatched to the scene had less water to handle the situation, and they had to call for another one. Police has warned residents to always distance themselves from the fire incident scenes to avoid loss of life.
Appealing to people that in case of an accident, especially accidents involving fuel tanks or trailers, they should always desist from going near those scenes because fuel burns so quickly.
This is the 3rd fire accident by fuel trucks in the same area in a few years.
It's been business as usual as Kampala city residents carried out their daily work normally, despite the big independence celebration that was going on at Kololo Independence Grounds. Now, this is mainly because bars and other places of entertainment are still locked down, and therefore most of the people decided to engage themselves into business.
Uganda became independent 50 years ago on the Tuesday of 9th October 1962. People put on their Sunday best and celebrated for over 24 hours. The jovial mood was all over the faces of Ugandans present at the time, and it pulled off jubilations and partying across the entire country. Today marks 59 years since Uganda attained self-rule and governance, and on this day, it has always been memorial amongst Ugandans in the country and abroad. However, the day's mood has been so low due to COVID-19 pandemic that has hit hard the entire world for the past 2 years. In Kampala, it has been normal business as many people made it to the city to do their daily work to earn a living, since entertainment places are shut due to COVID-19.
Nyo singa tuwalina omwakola wano naye essaawa zino sooka otumye Kampala yenna mugule. Embeera yali nnungi naye kati embeera mbi, waavu bungi, toyinza kutuula waka wala oba tokoze tolya. Naye luli ebiseera by'edda twali bulungi nnyo nga buli kimu weekiri, naye essaawa eno tuli baavu ate ebintu biri mu bbeeyi nnene.
Mu kibuga njunya kasente kuba munanze amefuga zinganje sinefuga mefuga gabakama bafa bali waggulu eyo batambule muloke zisiyanga abantu kali ngende mefuga abana bali eki zeri mufuna mpola
bageta ganakyusibwamo ne bamanya bati amefuga bakirangirira ne bagamba lero public holiday era n'abantu ne bamanya mbo lero lunaku lukulu tuli mu mefuga.
Formerly, many would be planning to go out for parties, but for this particular day it has been a different story, as happening places for nightlife are still locked to curb the spread of COVID-19, which still remains a threat in the world. However, some individuals made it to hide out to celebrate. Okiriji's zone in Chibuli was such place in Kampala, where sipping went on as they waited for the day to pass.
Nwe twava ku bazungu bali abatugedda ne batuwa ensi yaffe kisinga obukulu ffenna kubanga twefuganga badde nga baranga ozira wandibadde zonna zikubyeko naye kati mbeera nayo ensawo enyigirizibwa abantu bandibadde bangi music wandibadde ng'omuwulira kati music taliiko lwambeera eyo abantu bandibadde bangi nnyo.
Leero nga luno nze ensonga gye ndaba enkulu Baganda bafe aba security bandituyambyeko luno olunaku ne batatawanya olwokubanga tuli mmefuga tusaba busabi tetuwodalinze.
Ivan Juko, UBC.
Now, characterized with sense of excitement is what Ugandan communities felt in the process of celebrating the 59th independence of Uganda. Lack of parades by school children is one thing that management of schools feel disappointed about, as children would have participated in marching in this year's independence celebration. Although Arua district did not participate in mass celebration of the independence as a district, Vura sub-county decided to organize it at a sub-county level in which 200 people were invited, including Arua district leaders, in order to celebrate the day at Omogoro district.
Newton Odipio, a head teacher of Ewava, is one of the persons who felt something missed due to lack of entertainment and excitement due to no children participating in parades during Independence Day celebrations.
We used to make the day at schools very colorful by pupils' participation in marching, presentations of songs, poems, and many other activities. But as of today, due to this pandemic, we are unable to see all of this. So I call upon whoever is present today to take it as a normal pattern and a change in a life.
According To Enama Speak, the Arua District Scouts Commissioner says failure to have parades is attributed to the COVID-19 pandemic.
As scouts in Arua district, we are really disappointed. We used to parade, we used to stay in a community, we used to dance, we used to do traditional things, but these are all cut off. We are really disappointed. But as this is dangerous disease, we really agree to follow SOPs and presidential directives. We are going to be lenient enough. We wait until schools are reopened.
Arua District Chairman Alfred Okonzu challenged people of Arua District to adhere to the theme of this year's independence celebration, which is all about mindset change for better development.
How can you secure your future? One of the things I brought here is you need to track your spendings. Track your spendings. Send me ngoni. And track your environment. How are you using your environment? And you need to change your behavior of borrowing. Mari, loan yoduza. Set short-term goals. Amazidikia yinirar le flatly. LC1, LC2, LC3, LC5. But you need to think now. Mindset change must start now.
Fura County Member of Parliament, Yovan Adrico, called upon leaders of lower local government to cooperate with district leaders in order to achieve the government's efforts of securing the future of Ugandans.
Leaders in Karamoja have called for heavy mobilization of elders, women, warriors among others, and forming committees with guidelines that it will end insecurity in the region. This revealed during a security meeting between security officials and leaders of Moroto and Napak district, where the Deputy Chief of Uganda People's Defense Forces, Lieutenant General Elwelu, was seeking for solutions to end insecurity in Karamoja.
The Deputy Chief of Defense Forces, Lieutenant General Peter Elwelu, is visiting Karamoja, where he is interacting with ground forces and the communities to ensure cattle rustling is stopped. Peter Elwelu has met with leaders of Napak and Moroto districts to see how to address insecurity challenge in the region. Elwelu says the region is of great importance to government due to its political and economic location.
The minerals around the coal, the lime, the marble, around here, around this, and even what we have not known, which is underground here, a lot. This region is very, very important.
Leaders expressed concern on the influence of war gene, also known as warrage among warriors, concealment of the criminals by the locals, and criminal alliances among clans.
By us, the people you know them, but the problem is not going to come out and they say that son of so and so is causing the problem. He has a gun, but we're quiet.
It's the evidence gun more than even an helicopter. When a warrior has taken this warrant, it is like a stone.
Leaders point fingers at some errant officers of the UPDF and neighboring countries of Kenya and South Sudan as the source of the firearms.
Bullets used by these people, this Uganda army, it's not Sudan army. So we must also look into that.
There is an expensive gun called Nakazongola. 10 million to come from the traders. All those who bring food here, some of them are agents of guns. Guns are coming from the cross-border at a cost of 5 cows, 7.
The former chairperson Moroto District, Andrew Napaja, wants sub-county chiefs brought on board for a viable solution to the cattle rustling phenomena.
They will give you relevant information. They are more informed than the RCs. They know the new breed of warriors now.
Leaders want mobilization committees to be put in place with guidelines.
Mobilization. I don't want us to depend on the NGOs. NGO can come when it is willing. I want you to go to Mzee, tell him the time we started the first disarmament, local governments were empowered, MPs were empowered, vehicles were brought here to mobilize.
Can we also have the committees and mobilization, the guidelines, in case a warrior hurts the soldiers in the field? What measures do you put in place? In case the soldier misbehaves, we know the mistakes they did. I'm an experienced person. What measures do you put in place?
The 3rd Division Commander, Brigadier General Baliku Demba, says they are challenged by politicians who always protect suspects.
That the leaders are there as lawyers to speak on behalf of the people who are even some of them criminals. This is the point blank.
Elwelu promised to work on issues raised by stakeholders for sustainable peace in the region.
Where do these vehicles pass that bring alcohol into Karamoja? Do we always have accountability? Do we check on our soldiers what they have?
Ever since Usalama kwa Wote was rolled out in July this year, 86 guns have been recovered with Moroto, Kotido, Napak and Kabong leading in voluntary disarmament. Moriniga, Helen Barbara reporting for UBC TV News.
Uganda has this weekend marked 59 years as an independent country. These have been 6 decades of ups and downs, with northern Uganda experiencing close to a decade of upheavals perpetrated by Joseph Kony's rebellious nature. Government is now addressing social-economic imbalances on sequences of this rebellion and prevent conflict from reoccurring. We have the details.
By the end of 2006, northern Uganda had 1.8 million internally displaced people, with tens of thousands kidnapped, mutilated or killed. Northern Uganda was at war for almost 20 years, a conflict that left the region poorer than other regions.
First, again, I want to appreciate that there is peace in northern Uganda. There is free travel where we used to have convoys. There are better settlement, even back to traditional original homes where people used to live in IDPs. Town centers have grown, and I want to appreciate the efforts of the local people.
The State Minister for Northern Uganda, Grace Kuchin, says government has consolidated peace, including resettlement and reintegration programs for conflict-affected communities.
And Lango region, focusing on oil seeds, we would like to emphasize on that. There are agricultural programs focusing on cassava value addition. We have a factory in Nwoya, but that is not enough. Through the Catholic Church and Archbishop Odama heads this program, government is looking forward to installing a cassava factory in Acholibur.
Question points to government intervention includes rebuilding from social services to infrastructure projects like roads and communication networks.
We are looking at fish farming along the Nile, right from Lake Albert, through Pakwach, through Madiokolo Rhino Camp, up to Moyo Ajumani, Dufile, so that we can market the fish to Congo. Congo has the market.
The region is in developmental phase and on course to full recovery. Kuishin added that government will continue to commit resources to ensure full recovery of northern Uganda.
Government is already investing some good facilities in Aswa Ranch in order to promote good breed of animals there, which we can benefit from. We shall focus on the parish model in order to mobilize the women and the youth at the grassroots. We realize that women and youth are the main producers of our agricultural commodities.
But the report also highlights key challenges that remain unsolved, like high poverty levels, the growth gap between the north and the rest of the country.
Other economic factors that have been affecting the development of northern Uganda, one is accessibility to finances, and the government is going to solve this through revolving funds at parish levels.
There is also the challenge of youth unemployment, land conflicts, and natural resources, which are potential conflict drivers that could upset the recovery. Minister Kuichin says a priority focus for more resources devoted for full recovery of the region. Haruna Mteisasira, UBC News.
Land Minister Judith Nabakova is set to lodge a formal complaint to the President over reports and outcries from a section of members of the public as many land grabbers continue fronting his name and office in many cases where squatters are being evicted. Nabakova made this revelation at Greater Mubende Land Baraza held in Mityana district over the weekend.
Mama Minister.
A land baraza convened at Mityana zonal land offices for Greater Mubende over the weekend, comprised of representatives from the districts of Mityana, Chankwanzi, Mubende, Kasanda and Chiboga.
Nena kwe numa okubanga musajja nze nansuzibwa mpereza government emyaka 24 ngenda kuwumula ekibanyi kyange bakitutte.
Among those who could not miss this opportunity was the senior citizen Salongo Mayanja Edwards, a resident of Busibazi, Mityana district.
Enju yange bagimenyawo nga bantutte mu ddwaliro n'olusuku n'emwanyi byonna ne babisenzawo kati ntindawo ensula.
The affected persons, especially women, could not hold their tears.
Kyenkolera mu kibanja kyange omukyala akinemeseza alemedde mu kibanja nsaba buyambi.
The zonal land officers were among those faulted for the land mess.
Lunaku olwasembayo najja ku ofiisi wano nensanga nga muli mukola birthday abantu nga bali wabweru musibyewo.
Jangu wetonde nze bibya birthday sijja bikkiriza.
Saba kunsonyiwa okunkolera surprise office.
The district and regional police were not also spared of criticism from the public.
Buli osajja ekiwawa ateeka okutubonyaabonya. Buli RPC ajja wano ateeka okutusiba. Buli DPC ajja wano ateeka okutusiba.
Poliisi nze nsaba maama otuyambe omuntu ng'ali ku kibanja kye oba ng'ali ku tteeka lye ate trespass evaawa. N'olwekyo bwe mba mutunuulira trespass mugyeko enneenye mugyegendereze muleme kukwata bantu lwa trespass naddala mu Greater Mubende.
The baraza attendants included Mityana LC5, Mityana North Member of Parliament, Kibedi Nsegumiri, and the RDC Mityana Nixon Kabuye.
Okuva omuzungu buli yajja n'atwala ettaka lyaffe n'alifuula lyayasanze n'alifuuna Crown Land nti lirye ng'ate teryali lirye n'atuwa wiiki kyayagadde twafuna ebizibu okutandika olwo.
Ate sente muziteeke mu land fund mu compensating ba landlords ekyo kigwe.
Lands Minister Judith Nabakova disclosed that the continued misuse of the president's name and office during evictions is a matter calling for his attention.
Buli agoba abantu awoza State House. Buli agoba abantu awoza kino. N'ebyo byonna ngenda kuba mbitegeeza omukulembeze w'eggwanga.
Nabakova will also seek the president's intervention on the justice process in regards to the land-related legal processes.
Ensonga eyo nje gitegeeza president alabe bw'ayogera ne Ssaabalamuzi wa Uganda okulaba nti emisango gy'ettaka nagyo gibwebwa enkizo mu egyo egimu ku misango egitunuulirwa.
She, however, reassures tenants and squatters in Greater Mubende that government will do whatever possible to secure their rights of land acquisition. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Mityana.
Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development has warned the youth, especially the girl child, to be cautious of the growing cyber-related harassment. The Assistant Commissioner, Youth and Children Affairs, Mondo Chateka, says with the growing use of ICT, women and the girl child remain the most vulnerable. He made the remarks in Kampala ahead of the International Day of the Girl Child to be celebrated on Monday.
Annually, 11th October, Uganda and the international community celebrates the Day of the Girl Child. This aims at highlighting and addressing the needs and challenges faced by girls while promoting girls' empowerment and the fulfillment of their human rights. Speaking to the girls ahead of the day, the Assistant Commissioner, Youth and Children Affairs at the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Mondo Chateka, urged the girls to be cautious of cyber-related crimes targeting women.
The thing to do
is not to prevent them on using online. The thing is to caution them, counsel them, but also caution them. Caution, but also caution them.
With the growing use of online media, especially during lockdown, Amondo revealed that the majority of the reports coming in were related to sexual abuse.
When we keep quiet about the evil in our midst, it's like we are guaranteeing its continued existence. But for us, we want girls to be free to communicate.
The National Symposium was organized by Lead Uganda and Tere Demo ahead of the International Day of the Girl Child on Monday. The country manager, Tere Demo, a non-government organization, commended the government for steering up the fight for the girl child against online abusers.
The Child Helpline needs to have the capacity to monitor online spaces where children are actually accessing, to ensure that these spaces are not infiltrated by sexual offenders, people who are keen to actually mislead and harass children online, more especially girls who are more susceptible to trafficking and sexual exploitation.
Yesiga, however, decried the limited access to internet due to the taxes and the high cost of internet.
If indeed now education is being handled online, how dare the government put a 12% tax increment on internet? It does not make sense. Already children and girls were having a challenge accessing internet. Now an additional tax makes it even worse. So that's another challenge, access. It's actually the biggest challenge.
The Youth Engagement Country Manager Plan International further tasked the government on streamlining ICT use, especially among the youth.
This includes demanding that girls have the right to be safe online and to be free to speak up without harassment.
This year's International Day of the Girl Child will be held on Monday, 11th October at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds in Kampala. The First Lady, Janet Museveni, is expected to officiate at the celebrations. Philippa Guta, UBC News in Kampala.
UBC News Tonight. Now, State Minister for Higher Education, Dr. John Chrysostom Muyingo, has asked leaders to support the Ministry of Education and Sports by regulating the schools to be able to comply with the SOPs to prevent further spread of COVID-19. Dr. Muyingo was on a walking tour to selected schools and tertiary institutions in Luengo district, where he revealed that no school or institution will be allowed to resume until all SOPs are complied with and teachers vaccinated.
All teaching institutions across the country are being advised to utilize this period to ensure all SOPs are complied with to prevent further spread of COVID-19 as they begin to reopen, beginning with tertiary institutes November this year. State Minister for Higher Education, Dr. John Chrysostom Muyingo, encouraged political leaders at all levels across the country to work in partnership with the Ministry of Education and Sports to regulate schools before reopening.
Of course, the message here is that people of this area should prepare to send their children here for secondary education. As the President guided recently, secondary schools open in January, so all those young ones of school going age should be prepared to start school in January. That means all the teachers who are going to do the work should be vaccinated, fully vaccinated. Parents should be fully vaccinated. All the children up 18 years and above should be prepared to take the vaccination.
This was during the minister's working visit to Luengo district, where he visited Mbirizi Seed Secondary School and Luengo Technical Institute. He also handed over bursaries to over 200 beneficiaries at a function held at Luengo District Headquarters. Dr. Muyingo commended the district for efforts aimed at improving the education sector through lobbying for bursaries in the district and encouraged the beneficiaries to emphasize education as a key to progress. Luengo District Chairperson Ibrahim Chitata commended government for a technical school and encouraged parents to involve their children to study vocational skills to enable them be job creators as a way of reducing unemployment in the country.
Nga government etekawo enkola eyokutuusa secondary school mu buli sub-county eyo eri Malongo. Mukama wange ekizibu kyebadde ekyayina wadde bingi abawala baffe mu ssomero eryo basula bweru wa ssomero.
The area member of parliament Isaac Sejoba and resident district commissioner Haman Sentongo witnessed the event and appealed to communities to work with security personnel to fight insecurity in the area.
Education in Uganda will go up by leaps and bounds, and it is important that that happens because it's the pinnacle of our education, and if we get it right at that level, then the development of our country is assured.
Bakabasajja nga bagenzeyo ne basomayo okufumba ne basomayo okutimba ku mikolo kakati ennaku zino beenogera kasente nga magezi bagajja wali mu technical.
Salongo Freddy Kasibante compiled this report for UBC News.
The Cabinet recently resolved to have all wetland encroachers evicted from wetlands and other ecological sensitive places, destruction continues. Luigi Wetland Stretch, the buffer zone between Kampala and Wakiso, is one of ecological sensitive systems under severe attack by encroachers.
The order to evict wetland encroachers still stands, though destruction of these ecological sensitive ecosystems seems to linger on unbeatable. Lubiji wetland that straddles Kampala Northern Bypass is one of such wetlands under invasion. The destruction of the wetland seems to be under the watchful eyes of all and sundry. These key commando restaurants could have started like these temporary shelters. Encroachers first test the waters, and when there is no reaction, then they carry on their developments. The State Minister for Environment, Beatrice Anywa, once declared tough actions against enforcement officers who are reluctant to enforce the eviction orders.
For sure, one, what is fundamental is that we are trying all effort as government to restore the degraded environment, which is both the environment, the forest and the wetland, and two, to protect the existing one.
Wetlands play a big role in cleaning and regulating water runoffs before entering the water bodies. Sada Mubale, Pathias Karikona, UBC News, Kampala.
UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we'll return with business stories.
Today in history.
Today marks 59 years since Uganda gained its independence. Uganda became an independent sovereign state on 9th October 1962 from the British monarch, and Elizabeth II remained head of the state as Queen of Uganda. Apollo Milton Obote was a Ugandan political leader who led Uganda to independence in 1962 from the British colonial administration.
I smile when I think of you, Uganda, my home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda, my home. Oh, my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home. On my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Vaccinated today so we can get closer to the normal way of life. Echa COVID-19 chija kugwa.
Uganda's only 100% 4G network and get 50% data bonus on all bundles purchased using Airtel Money. Visit the nearest Airtel shop with a valid national ID to buy a SIM card today. For business entities, please share an email with business.support@ug.airtel.com. Enjoy the best rates on calls, SMS, data and Airtel Money across Uganda on your preferred number. Subject to availability. 50% data bonus is valid till 15th November 2021. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Welcome back from that break, and we're glad that you're still with us here in UBC News tonight. I'm Lauryn Kazimoto and Muhammad Mugalu on sign language. And now into business news. The Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperative, together with development partners, have strengthened capacity building trainings to communities in the parishes of Bukoba and Chikandwa, Mityana district. They have been established with support from the Korean Federation of Community Credit Cooperatives, with a focus on how to reduce poverty through establishing a village banking system. The Samal Gwemko coordinator, Uganda, Andrew Kwepa, says the financial literacy training is under the South Korean Samal Gwemko model and aims at rural economic transformation. Take a look.
Communities in over 15 villages of Bukoba and Chikandwa Mityana district are undergoing financial literacy training on how to establish and manage village banks. The training being conducted by Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives together with Korean Federation of Community Credit Cooperatives and establishment of model villages in Uganda is geared at minimizing errors caused by cooperators in managing community banks. The trained communities upload the South Korean Mall Gemgo model for changing the ideology of rural communities on savings, saying such trainings will maximize future errors and increase household incomes through investment.
I've learned how to save and how to make a family budget with my family. I've learned like how to use the salary that I've been getting, so it's been of importance.
I learned how to work, how much time I spend on my work, so that I can increase on my income.
So when they get some money here in the bank, they go there for their farms and they get some money which can assist them to their farms.
Small Gemgo coordinator Uganda, Andrew Chepa, says the village bank will mitigate problems, especially women face, including unreached financial services and poverty eradication with focus on agriculture.
One is to make sure
that all members are educated on how their village banks work, also to educate them about financial literacy so that they know how to manage their money better, to use it better. At the end of the day, they are able to save, they are able to use the loans rightly, they are able to invest wisely.
With partners, the Korean Federation of Community Credit Cooperatives provides modern banking facilities with members trained in management practices, focusing on Small Gamugo principles that build capacity for institutional development. Small Gamugo means New Village Bank in Korea and has been designed to enhance equitable distribution of income in rural communities for economic empowerment in rural Uganda.
Thousands of households in rural areas across the country are set to benefit from the solar mini grids, an initiative geared at bringing electricity to off-grid communities. The electrification initiative, supported by the government, development partners and the private sector, will socially and economically empower those that are currently not connected to the main power grid and are not expected to be linked to the national grid in the next 10 years. We have the details.
Over the last 2 decades, government of Uganda has invested billions of dollars in boosting electricity production and distribution. These efforts have yielded positive results, with 24% of the households connected to the national grid. However, a big percentage of the rural populace are still in the dark, and this challenge may not be solved anytime soon.
Areas which may be without power for the next 10 to 20 years. So as mini-grids you can come in, we create, and the advantage of mini-grids is that we are coming in and we create more sort of a micro-economy.
Other alternatives that provide clean and reliable energy supply are being adopted countrywide. This mini solar off-grid power plant in Bunjako Island in Mpigi district is transforming lives.
When we are setting up this, we look for a place which can have a good irradiation from the atmosphere, which can receive at least a good amount of sunshine.
We no longer use a lot of energy, and besides that, we make good profits out of this motorized borehole. The 80 kilowatts power plant is a subsidy-based pilot project estimated to have cost $1 million to set up. With electricity metering system yet to be installed, the locals in Bunjako are currently enjoying free electricity supply to their homes and business premises.
The meters are on the way, that's number one, but another reason was we wanted to give back to the people. Because right now we would have easily switched off the equipment and say that no, let's wait for the meters, but because the people have been patient with us.
600 kilometers away from Bunjako, in Lamo district, northern Uganda, over 24 of such power plants are being constructed by Winch Energies with support from the government and development partners GIZ and the European Union. Nyeko Bongo, who lives a stone throw away from the soon-to-be installed solar power plant, is excited.
This can change the view of our people from here, because they may make something which can create their life ahead.
When I have a stable light, yeah, of course it can help me. Then secondly, I can place one TV there and then keep on watching it there.
It is a fact, reliable electricity supply is a catalyst for social and economic development. In 10 to 20 years from today, this community here in Lamo district is not expected to be connected onto the national grid, and therefore this initiative, spearheaded by government and the development partners, is expected to come in handy in socially and economically empowering the local populace. Dennis Igoa for UBC News in Lamo district.
Thank you, Dennis Segoa. Uganda Revenue Authority supervisors have been challenged to increase the country's tax to GDP ratio to 21% by the financial year 2024-2025. John Musinguzi, the Uganda Revenue Authority Commissioner General, made this declaration at the pass-out ceremony of 272 URA supervisors at the National Leadership Training Institute.
Uganda Revenue Authority supervisors who have completed a month-long residential transformational leadership training program at the National Leadership Training, NALI, have been urged to leverage on the knowledge and training acquired to propel the country's economic development.
This training gives our staff the skill to do our job in the most effective and efficient manner. Leadership is about really the foundation of good leadership is discipline. So when our staff are here and they are being trained on how to live disciplined lives and how to ensure discipline among the people they lead, it's very critical.
State Minister of Finance and General Duties Henry Musasizi pledged to support the equipping of URA staff with all the requisite tools to ensure that they deliver quality service.
We must ensure efficiency in tax administration so that we are able to raise more taxes. And we must tighten. That's why you see us here. All these efforts are aimed at finding solutions, finding ways through which we can help URA, through which we can work with URA to achieve our target of 20% tax ratio to GDP.
Some of the graduates believe that the newly acquired mindset skills will enable them relate with the people they are serving in accordance to the government's poverty eradication goals.
As tax collectors, first of all, we need to understand our mandate. So the course has really opened our eyes to realize that we are the people who are going to move this country to economic independence.
There is a tendency for most of us to assume that things are supposed to be the way they are supposed to be without really applying the different laws. So we have undergone this training, and I'm happy to report that the Wamala that came here a month back is quite different from the Wamala that you're seeing today.
Charlotte Amuge and Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Uganda today marks her 59th independence anniversary, the second one devoid of the usual countrywide feats because of the restrictive measures. Slowdown in the global economy as a result of coronavirus has imparted a negative impact to the business communities in Kampala city.
This Saturday, Ugandans are commemorating a unique day of self-rule from British colonial government on the 9th October 1962.
Because of this independence, that yes, you'll find that I am into my business. I'm doing my business privately as a Ugandan, as an African. And I would think, to my own opinion, that independence is something very positive for each and everyone to celebrate. As independence. But of course there are some limitations that you see that we still have to be independent as a country, that which we have to work on, over time.
Most of the activities of the economy of our country are in the hands of Ugandans, including myself. And we have dominated all sectors, namely trade, which includes import and export of commodities.
Long before the struggle of our independence from the colonial rule, we were independent people with a long and distinguished history. Kampala downtown, business was normal as Uganda marked its 59th Independence Day, and those in business have various opinions about this day.
Where citizens can come in, the government can be able to help business not to collapse. Because when you're trying to fight employment, it's not about bringing in more people to put up factories and then you have no system, or in case there is any challenge, how do I come in to save these factories?
Moses Kalungi, a businessman in Kampala, claimed that a number of factors putting the local traders at a disadvantage.
The government is promoting foreign investors who are repatriating profits back to their countries against the indigenous Ugandans, who are not given any incentive to promote them to compete with the foreign investors.
The proprietor Bravo Shoes brand Yesiji built his brand using social media marketing, is optimistic and still holding on to the grip to stay in business.
For so many years, but you know, these past 2 years we've not had not even a single customer coming to here, which means 2 years that we've not had any sales because we are footwear business. And if you're a footwear business, and especially footwear for school, is where we've had a lot of challenges as a footwear business.
He says that business communities have faced the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic, which have affected the business growth. Business, especially the small and medium enterprises, are facing financial distress arising from